This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum and Tonya Lead.
Welcome to IA Forward. It's the holiday season, the time of overcommitments, the time of parties, shopping, family drama, all of the stuff that goes along with the holiday festivities.
Also, from the optimistic side instead of the pessimistic.
Strange dynamic swap for us.
I mean, the optimistic side, it's also the time of joy and family. And it's time for me to relax and plan and not be stressed.
It's because you're the man.
That's right. It's because I'm the man. This is one of the things about being a man that's really good is I have a wonderful wife that loves to take care of Christmas shopping, or at least she just doesn't like the way I would shop. And so I get relieved of those duties. I have to buy for one person.
Really? That's it?
That's it. One person. I have to buy for her. And then I have to support her efforts in any way that I can.
Do you wrap gifts?
I tried once. Then I got fired from wrapping the gifts.
Okay, no, so I did a wrapping tutorial with Daniel, and he actually now makes prettier bows than I do. He finds it therapeutic, I think, but he takes pride in the fact that his bows are so perfect now. He's going to kill me for telling people that.
I'm sure he is, and I would too, but I have not been a great gift wrapper. There was a year, I think, where I did do a little more wrapping of gifts, and then my children got old enough and my girls wanted to wrap the gifts, and they were like, Dad, you want us to wrap your gifts? And so I was like, absolutely. So I outsourced it to my children, child labor. It's just this wonderful kumbaya time of year for me, and I know it stresses most people out. I know I am not normal when it comes to the Christmas holiday season. And I know the world is overcommitted and stressed. And I just want them to come to my world in this because I just love it this time of year.
I think one of the big challenges for me and for most people is that we end up overcommitting and then we try to multitask to get everything done. And multitasking really and truly only creates stress, and it's just not good.
I agree. The multitasking piece is a disaster for us as productivity, right? We've gotten into this world where we went through a generation of multitasking is great. Now we talk about what you need to focus on, and hey, you need to focus on that. Don't be doing too many things at once. It's really interesting where this takes us because that's what happens. And when you have this overcommitment mindset where you say yes to everything.
He's looking at me as he says
if you say yes to everything, then you tend to try to do all these things and you become the jack of all trades, master of none. And I think it really, really hurts us physically, mentally, spiritually, in all of these different ways. It took me a while to figure this out. I'm still not great at it. I'm way better at it than I was 10 years ago, but I'm not where I want to be just yet.
This past weekend, I had the opportunity to do so many different things, from going to Gatlinburg to be there for the Smoky Mountain Christmas Parade, to going to the SEC Championship in Atlanta, going to Charleston to see one of my favorite artists perform. There were all of these different things that were happening this one weekend. And instead of choosing one of those things and the hustle and bustle of the travel and all, I decided to stay home. And I really think that that is a step of personal growth for me because
it's a huge personal step of growth for you.
But, it was just one of those things that I was like, okay, I'm not going to overcommit. I'm just going to stay home and finish decorating the house for Christmas and try to get all of my shopping done. And that sounds really adult and doesn't sound like me, but that's okay. But it was one of those things that I just said, hey, I need to step back. I need to get rid of some of those distractions and do what I need to do.
It is so easy to be distracted, to say yes to so many things. I know that several years ago, I had a week where I kind of hit a tipping point. And really, it was more of a crash. And it was so much involvement in so many things. And what was happening is one of those commitments was coming to an end naturally. And I realized that that was going away, and what the freeing up of my time and space was going to look like, or personal capacity was going to look like. And I just had this sort of epiphany moment where I decided to shut everything down. I pulled myself off and out of a ton of things. And there was like a half a dozen different things. And I felt completely free at the end of that week. 3 months later, I was back committed to 3 things. I didn't do it very well, very long. That's what I don't want our business owners, our agency owners out there to reach the point of, because our businesses and our people need us.
I think as agency owners, we have to be very conscious of what our people need during this time. I would rather have a team member take a day or 2 off to get all of the things they need to get done, whether it's shopping or decorating or going to events at schools. I would rather somebody just take a day or 2 off rather than try to commingle those things while they're working. And I think as business owners, being conscious of what our employees need during this season can make us better leaders.
One of the things that I've always tried to do, the time between Christmas Eve and New Year's, we're usually open about half the time and closed about half the time. A couple of days at Christmas, New Year's, depending on the weekend and how the days fall. There's this question in the back of my mind of, man, should we even be open during that week? And it's one of those questions, and we are, because, what if there's a major claim? What if there's a big storm? What if something happens? We actually had a Christmas Day tornado in Deep East Texas several years ago. There is that reality of being available to customers. However, I have always tried to make sure that I did not take off between about the 20th of December through about January the 3rd or 4th. And the reason I would do that is because I had so many people that I know that they needed to take off. Trying to set that example or make myself available to do maybe some things that I don't do during the year so that people can do that. And if you're in a small office, if you're in a small agency with anywhere from 2 to 6 employees, this would speak volumes if you show up so that your people don't have to. And that is something that I just did. I just thought it would be something good because I knew I had a couple of really key people in the agency that needed to do some things family-wise because they had different situations. My family was close. This is just one of those things as an agency owner that I decided that I would do. It's really important that we make time for that, to think over and above just our environment and who we're dealing with and what their lives look like when it comes to this time of year.
So I made a mistake this week. I normally on the Friday or the Sunday before a week, I sit down with my calendar and I time block everything out. This is when I'm going to be in meetings. These are the things that are the most important for me during the week. These are the spots where I'm going to try to do those and then leave places open for all the stuff that pops up. I was looking at my calendar earlier today when we were in a meeting and realized I haven't done that at all this week. I was a total failure when it comes to time blocking to make sure that I got everything done that I needed to do. Normally I set a goal for getting things done 50% of the time when I set it out, but it was a big failure for me. And it made me realize that, okay, what distractions are out there that caused that to happen? And so I kind of went back and I pulled my calendar from last year and I saw the same thing happened. So obviously there's something that's keeping me from doing the things that I know I need to do to keep my productivity on task. That's probably not something you should tell your boss, but honesty wins, right?
I'm sitting right here. No. It's that time of year. There's something consistent there. And I think a lot of people would say, yeah, that happens to me too. The other thing is we get distracted. It's harder when we're not in our normal setting. And there's a lot that's going on in insurance agencies in mid to late November through December. And there's a lot of planning. Either the agency is intentionally planning. Hopefully, as an owner, you're planning. your carriers are planning, so they're coming to you. Many of the carriers have backed their planning up to start even in October. So if fourth quarter becomes a total planning meeting kind of environment in a lot of cases. But dealing with carrier planning, you kind of need to be ready from an agency standpoint, because they're going to ask you questions like, what are your goals for next year? What are you going to be working on? What do you need us to help you with? I generally take the month of December to really, really focus on planning, which is why it actually becomes a very focused month for me from a business standpoint, because I have a singular thing in my mind. I am thinking about the future. That's really the main thing. Now, not everybody has that luxury, and I get that because there was a day and time where I didn't have that luxury several years ago. But I think that it's really easy for us to lose our routine. Maybe there's a little more travel. Maybe there's this new thing of I can work remotely, or I can work on the road, or I can work now. And I think we have this thing in our future that we really, really need to think about. It amplifies during Thanksgiving to Christmas, and that is this idea of make sure we compartmentalize our work versus non-work. When we work, we work. When we don't work, we don't work. I think we have just ventured over the last several years, amplified by COVID, to just sort of mix it all up in a bowl, so to speak. And, well, I'm working, but you're really not working. But I'm not working, but you really are working. I'm going on a working vacation. Well, then block out your time that you're working and then let it go the rest of the time. I think it's just narrowing down that focus, which can be something that block time can help you with.
I'll tell you something else that I think is a struggle for pretty much 90% of the people out there is taking care of our minds and our bodies during this season. We have had more junk food in the office over the last few weeks than I think that I have seen the whole rest of the year. And those temptations of eating stuff that you really don't even want, but it's in front of you. And then you have the challenges of all of the extra parties, events, holiday things that you commit to attending.
Decorating.
It takes away from your time that you have to go to the gym or be active or stay in your daily routine. We don't even realize the stress that those little things are adding to us throughout the holiday.
Insurance company reps, I love you. I need you in my life, obviously. We have really fantastic reps. But you send us chocolate and stuff during this time of year, and we got 12 boxes of cookies the other day. That's a whole nother conversation that I think is another podcast that's out there that we've had, and that's
right.
Christmas gifts,
yes.
Right? So, but it does add to that stress, maybe makes us feel guilty or doesn't feel good. Or maybe we physically eat too much chocolate and we don't physically feel good because we ate too much chocolate. Right. That's a reality.
Or the bourbon cheese pretzels that one of our agents came in. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Tonya, you've got to come try these." And I'm going, "Don't put that under my nose. That is not nice of you."
That's good. No, but being disciplined, being focused, I think this time of year, it's extra hard. I'm on this lifelong kind of mission to make this time of my life in terms of the holiday season better and better and better. I enjoy it so much. And I know that as I get older, it's going to be one of those things. Like, I get why my dad, my grandparents, I get why they loved it so much now. Loving Christmas as a kid is a little tainted with gifts and things and why and your reasoning. For me, it's the family. People are nicer. It's so many different reasons why it should happen that way and why it should be a great time of year. I guess I'm just more committed today than I have been to having a little more focus and just being at a place where I can be present and just enjoy it.
I think one of the biggest challenges that I've seen with team members in the past is sometimes I think that family members during the holiday season don't respect office hours. They're calling and asking about Christmas gifts, and they're calling and asking about when is the family going to have dinner? When are we going to do this or that? Or I just see that the lines really begin to blur during the holidays. And I think it is completely unintentional But it happens, and then it creates stress because going back to multitasking. So do you think it's appropriate, or how do we ask our families to respect our time while we're working?
I think it's something that's amplified by the holidays because access to us. And I think that's one of the things that I've been subtly preaching a little bit internally, which is work when you're working, play when you're playing. It goes together with this same kind of theme. It's a discipline that we have to tell our families, hey, I'm at work. Our kids, our siblings, our parents, whatever the situation is, they may be at a place where their free time is available to them. They're at a different place. They're at a different time of life. And you're trying to accomplish something. You're trying to get a project done. You're trying to launch something. You're trying to close a deal, write new business, meet an end of year production goal. There's so many things going on. We have to be able to have those conversations with our family and say, we got to have some boundaries here. I also think from an agency ownership standpoint, we have to be able to have those conversations and put those parameters out there of expectations for our people to say, hey, I need you to help me here, because it is a challenge coming out of COVID. We have reached this point where we want to make sure that everybody's safe. We want to make sure that our kids are okay, that our family's okay, that they're not laying in a ditch somewhere. And I'm not advocating that we ignore it, but we need to figure out how to manage that a little better.
A few weeks ago, I did a weekend electronics hiatus, and I do this probably twice a year, where I turn my phone off. I don't open my computer. I don't open a tablet. I read a real book instead of reading a book on my tablet. And by the end of the weekend, when I had not responded to texts or emails, or my phone was going directly to voicemail because it was off. I had people on social media actually posting on my wall, "Are you okay? We're worried about you. You haven't gotten back with us. Has something happened?" And it was 36 hours. It wasn't like it was 2 weeks long. And every time I do this, it hits me that I've probably just made myself too available to the world, that something's wrong if I can't go 36 hours without talking to people.
Well, I'll pick on all of our kids. The issue of the text, they don't give you time to answer. I'm not a two-thumber texter, right?
Really?
I'm a single finger text person.
Really?
I am. So understand that. I'm not going to sit there and just crank this out. This is my rule. And I told my kids this. My wife is 100% with me on this. If we need to be in dialogue, answering text, going back and forth so quickly that I can't get a 30-second, 45-second, couple of minute pause between the answers, then why aren't we talking on the phone? But this is real live text from Gen Zs to Xer parents. Real live example. Hey, Mom, I need to get something at Target. Mom, ? Dad, Mom's not answering her phone. 45 seconds. Okay? So these are real things.
That's needing some toothpaste right there.
This is really, really like, and then I'm using I'm exaggerating a little, but not much, right? This is real life stuff that I know our agency owners as parents are listening and going, yeah, that's me. And I don't think it has anything to do with raising, or I think it is society. I think it's real-time communication. I think it's the need for instant answers that we have in this society today. Everything's at our fingertips. And it's just like, deep breath. Everybody back up. I'm surprised you didn't get 911 and somebody reported you missing. It wouldn't be crazy in today's world for you to completely go off the grid, forget to say, hey, I'm going off the grid, and make the announcement, which is ridiculous. You got to do that.
Why I don't do that.
But and you do go off the grid, then I'm surprised within 48 to 36 hours that you're not reported missing.
So I want to go back to the texting thing, that you text with your finger. So when you get on the elevator...
Oh, I'm quick.
How do you press the button on the elevator? What digit do you use?
My index finger.
So, fun fact that we as Xers and boomers use their index finger. Our millennials and our Gen Zs use their thumb.
I was going to say my backup would be my thumb.
Right.
Okay.
But that's that texting has changed that generationally.
Yeah.
How people choose their floors on an elevator.
That's interesting.
So let's go back to being an agency owner, especially during the holidays. I hear agents all the time talk about the frustrations they have because their spouse or their parents or their kids assume that since they own the business, they have the flexibility to do all of the little things that need to be done, that because they're in a normal 8 to 5 job working for someone else, it's easy for you to do that.
The reality of it is that business owners, agency owners are probably less flexible. It depends on their stage, their life cycle of their agency. Are they a small shop? Are they a solopreneur? What is the size and scope of their agency? Really needs to be clarified in that whole context here. But we're just going to assume that these are small agencies that we're talking about and small agency owners. And it's not what you think. We can leave and come back to something, but that doesn't mean that there's not work going on and not things to be done. And there's people to be led and people to be managed. And so that's something that society has pegged for all small business owners. It's no different than, well, you can just write it off. You can take that trip and just call it a write-off. I hate it. It drives me crazy. No, it's an expense. It's out of my pocket. It's hitting my wallet. Don't make it okay because I get to deduct it for tax reasons.
But to quote Shane Tatum, this is the best business in the world.
It is. All that said, don't misunderstand me. Yeah. All right. It is an incredible lifestyle opportunity business, and it is the best business model in the world. I 100% agree with that. I just know that is a reality, that the world sees all small businesses, when you're not one, as having all this flexibility and all this time and all this money to be able to do these things. And that's just not accurate.
I think that this is the time of year where time blocking or whatever you do to keep yourself organized is so important. Making sure that you put those family commitments in your calendar first, and then you're able to work around them to make sure everything gets done. But I love the fact that as agency owners, we are able to put that out of office memo in our email that says, I'm going to my daughter's holiday recital. I will get back with you tomorrow morning. Or that we are able to change that voicemail and say, hey, I'm spending the afternoon with my family. And that we're really not so important, that getting back to the person the next day is totally okay. And people understand and expect that during the holidays. I think that's one of the reasons we get so stressed, is that we think that we're so important to people, we can't take the time off, where it's really okay.
Back to your time blocking and just this reality that most independent agencies, most insurance agencies in general, are founded, owned, run by salespeople, sales, marketing minded people. Let's just admit it. We are not the best time management people. Here's the thing. We can improve ourselves over time if we commit to being better at time management. Part of the struggle with all of this is that most of us that have that background that make us so good at what we do, we're very easily overcommitted. We don't always write the things down on the calendar that we need to do. I have become a huge advocate of calendaring everything.
Yes.
Time blocking, anything, reminders. I needed a place, right? I needed a place to go to say, what does my life look like today? Well, what does it look like next week? What does it look like in March? Had a really good friend and mentor that has challenged me for several years, that I'm doing better and better. And this sounds crazy because it's a huge commitment of time up front. But if you're planning, you can do it. And that is to block out your year.
So my heart just dropped. I think my face turned white and I broke out into a sweat.
I get it. And I know for our people, it's not impossible. I'm through June.
Are you really?
I am. I'm working on it. I'm getting better. Now, there's a lot of holes. And it doesn't mean that things aren't going to pop up. And it doesn't mean that when those things pop up, that I'm not going to commit to them. What it does mean is that maybe for the first time in my life, when that thing pops up in March that I don't know about yet, I'm going to have a calendar to look at and make a decision, an informed, intelligent decision to say yes or no to that thing that I don't know about yet. And I think that's what gets me. I don't know about all these things yet, so I would rather just not put it out there. That way I can be open. I can be open to do whatever I want to do. And then 3 things pop up at the same time, and we commit to all 3 things.
I'm going to leave us today with this quote from Jeff Galloway. Brainstorm your training goals first, then write them down. Do this in pencil so you can change some specifics when reality sets in.
Attitude's a choice. Make a great one.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Ready to get the ball rolling with your independent agency? Learn more at IntegraAgent.com. That's IntegraAgent.com. Thank you for joining us on IA Forward. Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now or learn more at IAForward.com.